And nobody in this nigga crew running behind him to stop this nigga. So I'm like,
But what was it like being around DMX?
DMX was dangerous, man. When you around him, he's like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Very unpredictable.
In Los Angeles, gangs like the LA Crips are notorious for making rappers check in whenever they land in the city. It's a long-standing street rule, and when rappers ignore it, things can get real dangerous fast. But when someone tried that with DMX, they had no idea what kind of storm they were stepping into. This was DMX, the raw, fearless legend who lived wild, roamed free, and spent so much time behind bars, it almost felt like home to him. Nothing scared that man. Not fame, not chaos, not even the streets themselves. He didn't just face chaos, he was chaos. This whole check-in thing has always been part of a twisted street game where gangs try to pressure rappers into paying up or showing respect.
What was it like being around DMX?
DMX was dangerous, man.
Straight up like that. Whoever don't like it, bring it, nigga. Bring it. I don't. Bring it. Bring it.
Big U, one of the biggest names connected to this system, once claimed it's straight up mandatory for artists to check in when they come to certain cities. And when asked to explain it, he used a wild comparison saying, it's like military airspace. You can't just fly through without permission. That line alone shows just how deep this street code runs. But come on, everyone can see what's really going on here. A lot of people say this whole check-in rule is pure nonsense because these gangs mainly go after black rappers and celebrities, basically turning their own neighborhoods into no-go zones. That's wild and honestly sad to see. But if there was one rapper who wasn't about to be pushed around, it was DMX. Trying to check him was like lighting a match right next to a tank of gas. DMX didn't bow to anybody. He was raw, untamed, and fearless to the core. Fat Joe once told a crazy story that perfectly showed how wild DMX could get.
Show, me, him, and Big Pun in Brooklyn. And after the show, we stopped at the gas station. Meanwhile, the whole crowd was just going, stop, shut him down, open up, chop, oh. Like, DMX was crazy.
After finishing a show with DMX and Big Pun, the three of them stopped at a gas station to chill for a bit. Out of nowhere, this guy walked in rocking a flashy chain, and without saying a word, DMX just snatched it straight off him right there in front of everyone. No hesitation, no warning, just pure DMX energy. And it didn't even stop there. Nobody wanted any problems with him after that. People knew better. Comedian Aries Spears even shared his own unforgettable DMX story. He said he was at an event promoting his comedy CD, asking celebrities for shout-outs. But when he got to DMX, things got tense fast. Apparently, DMX wasn't too happy about Aries doing impressions of him, and the whole vibe in the room flipped instantly. Aries said DMX came up to him and said, "Yo, I need to holler at you." And you could just feel the tension in the air. And that's when things got real intense.
We on stage, right? And we doing Party Up and we killing it, you know what I'm saying? DMX accidentally snuffs me. That's some real shit. I was like, wow, this nigga's knuckles is hard as a motherfucker.
DMX accidentally.
He accidentally snuffed me.
How?
Is he just
going
No,
out?
look.
Like,
1, 2, now. He hit me outside. Oh, shit. I was like, God dang.
DMX led Aries into a locker room, and before Aries could even wrap his head around what was going down, nearly 30 guys followed them in, surrounding him tight. Then X's bodyguard slammed the door shut, locking everyone inside. Suddenly, Aries found himself trapped in a small room with DMX and his whole crew staring him down. DMX started pressing him hard about those impressions Aries used to do, asking straight up if he thought it was funny to mock him like that. Aries tried to keep his cool, saying it was all love and just part of his comedy routine. He even tried to hand DMX his CD, just like he'd done with other celebs, but DMX wasn't letting him off that easy. He leaned in close, eyes locked, and said, "Come to my hotel later, let me hear it. If it's good, cool. If it's not, then hit him with that signature growl that could shake a room." But the craziest part, Aries swore that right as DMX growled, he pulled a razor blade straight from under his tongue. Who even does that? The moment Aries saw that, he knew there was no way he was showing up to that hotel. Not a chance. And Aries wasn't the only one with wild DMX stories. Jay Farrow had one too. He said during a live performance with DMX, the energy got so wild that DMX started throwing punches in the air, barking, jumping around, fully in the zone. And out of nowhere, boom, he accidentally punched Jay right in the face, mid-performance. That's how intense DMX's energy was. Nobody was safe when he was fired up.
In LA, when I go to Chicago, I respect Chicago wholeheartedly. I check in. When I go to Atlanta, I check in. And I don't think nobody is safe. I know dudes right now from LA who are actual gang members who have been robbed for their jewelry.
Even Memphis Bleak had his own unforgettable DMX story. He said one time, Bad Boy Records was chilling on a Miami beach when Mace rolled up on a scooter. The second DMX spotted him, he bolted straight toward him like lightning. Bleak said he couldn't believe what he was seeing. It was his first time meeting DMX, and he described it as watching a storm take human form. And that was just one of many moments leading up to the explosive clash between DMX and Kurupt. And trust me, things got real serious after that. DMX wasn't scared of anybody. Not gangs, not crews, not even big street names with heavy ties. Kurupt, a well-known rapper and proud member of the Crips, was managed by Big U, one of the most respected names from the Rollin' 60s. But DMX, he didn't care one bit. He moved on his own terms, and everyone knew it. The tension between DMX and Kurupt started boiling over, and soon it got so bad that Kurupt allegedly became the target of a hit. 2 of his bodyguards didn't make it, and Kurupt barely escaped with his life.
United States of America and all these countries have what is called airspace. If you invade their airspace with a plane, they consider that an act of war. You can choose not to, and it's going to be a problem. If dudes come and you move it in a certain way, if you choose not to check in, suffer the consequences.
Right after that, rumors started spinning like crazy. People whispered that maybe DMX had something to do with it. And with his unpredictable, wild reputation at the time, folks actually believed it could be true. Back in the early 90s, DMX was already ruling New York's underground rap scene. Untouchable, raw, and respected by everyone in the streets. Meanwhile, Kurupt was just breaking into the game on the West Coast, trying to make his mark. By 1992, at only 19 years old, Kurupt and his partner Daz Dillinger had signed with Death Row Records, and all eyes were on them. The duo quickly made noise, forming Thaw Dog Pound, with Kurupt repping the Rollin' 60s Crips and Daz holding it down for the Rollin' 20s out of Long Beach, California. Before long, the two of them blew up into a full-blown powerhouse, and the stage was set for a coast-to-coast showdown like no other. The Dog Pound Gangsta Clique was a straight-up powerhouse, rolling deep with legends like Snoop Dogg, Nate Dogg, and RBX. That lineup was pure fire, and the chemistry between them was unmatched. Their first major breakthrough came when they showed up all over Dr. Dre's 1992 classic, The Chronic. That album didn't just shift hip-hop, it changed the entire culture. It was the official launch pad that showcased Death Row's unstoppable West Coast dominance. By the very next year, Thaw Dog Pound had made their presence impossible to ignore.
Even a rebirth, he's finna give you back what he always been. A beast on the mic. With the vocals that can't nobody touch. He gonna make you go get the dictionary to understand every word he just spit too.
They appeared on several tracks from Snoop Dogg's legendary debut Doggy Style, and those verses made it crystal clear. Kurupt and Daz weren't just backup players, they were key soldiers in Death Row's takeover. The energy, the style, the attitude, they brought all of it raw and unfiltered. By 1994, Thaw Dog Pound was ready to claim the spotlight on their own terms. They dropped the single, What Would You Do? A bold, in-your-face track that didn't just shake the streets, it earned a Grammy nomination in 1996 for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group, and when their debut album Dog Food dropped on October 31st, 1995, it was like an explosion. The project debuted straight at #1 on the Billboard 200 and moved over 270,000 copies in the first week. That was massive, and it proved that Thaw Dog Pound had officially secured their spot as one of the hottest acts in the game. But by 1996, Kurupt's personal life started getting just as wild as his career. He was dating Brooklyn rapper Foxy Brown, and by 1997, the two were even engaged. The media couldn't get enough of them. But while he was living that superstar life out west, the East Coast was cooking up something major of its own. That's when DMX came storming onto the scene, loud, raw, and unstoppable. After signing with Def Jam, he dropped Get At Me Dog in February 1998, and the track blew up. It peaked at number 39 on the Billboard charts, but the numbers weren't even the main story, the energy was. The world realized DMX was bringing something completely new to the game, raw emotion, street truth, and unfiltered fire. Then came his next move. It's dark and hell is hot, and that's when everything changed forever. DMX's debut album didn't just make waves, it shook the entire rap world upside down. The sound was dark, gritty, and electric, the kind of project that hit straight to the chest and made people feel every bar. Overnight, DMX became one of the biggest names in hip-hop. Raw energy, unmatched passion, and a voice that cut through the noise like no one else. But just when both DMX and Kurupt were sitting at the top of their game, things took a wild turn. Around mid-1998, word started spreading like wildfire that DMX and Foxy Brown, who just so happened to be Kurupt's fiancée, were getting way too close.
Get back here. Wait till I catch you, nigga. So, you know me, I'm in the back seat like, what happened between him and Mace? Like, who is this nigga? And nobody in this nigga crew running behind him to stop this nigga. So I'm like, whoever this nigga is, he official. They ain't want no smoke with this nigga.
The streets started buzzing, and the talk got louder by the day. What started as a little industry rumor quickly turned into full-blown drama that had everyone watching. According to Foxy Brown, the one who set it all off was Eve from Rough Riders. She allegedly told Kurupt that something was going on between Foxy and DMX, and that one comment blew the whole situation sky high. Suddenly, there was tension everywhere. In between Foxy and Eve, between Kurupt and DMX, it was chaos. Foxy swore up and down that nothing happened, saying DMX just had a small crush and that Eve exaggerated everything. She claimed Eve took it way too far and stirred up drama that didn't even exist. The timing couldn't have been worse. Both Foxy and DMX were signed to Def Jam, and they were spending the summer together on the Survival of the Illest tour. You already know what happens when you mix fame, rumors, and two powerful artists sharing the same stage. It's a recipe for madness. Then, when DMX dropped his follow-up album, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, it instantly went down as a classic, but one track in particular, Bring Your Whole Crew, had fans losing their minds. The lyrics were dark, violent, and full of attitude, with DMX rapping about being out for blood and even mentioning the Crips being at battle. The moment people heard that line, the speculation exploded. Everyone thought he was firing shots directly at Kurupt, who was famously tied to the Crips. The tension between the coast, the labels, and the artist hit a breaking point, and it felt like the fire was just getting started. In that same track, DMX dropped some brutal bars that had fans losing their minds. He asked, "How much trash can you talk with your lips on the floor?" Then threw in a line calling someone a butt-far before comparing them to a fake pit. That one line had the streets buzzing like crazy.
You and X issue actually over her?
Totally.
Oh, so X was messing with her when y'all was together?
Totally. Then she took one of my concepts. We was gonna make a record called The Dog and the Fox.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then she went and did it with Earl.
People immediately started connecting the dots, saying DMX was calling out Kurupt, comparing him to a fake pit bull, a clear jab at his dog pound roots. The shade was heavy and everyone felt it. But it didn't stop there. DMX kept going, rapping about choking someone out and ending them, and fans instantly took it as a not-so-subtle warning to Kurupt to back off before things got deadly. Even though DMX never confirmed it was a direct diss, the timing was way too perfect to ignore. Rumors were already floating around that DMX had been spending time with Foxy Brown behind Kurupt's back, and once people heard those lyrics, the tension exploded. Then came the moment that blew everything up for real. On January 26, 1999, Foxy Brown dropped her second studio album, China Doll, and one track in particular had everyone talking, Dog and a Fox featuring DMX. The title alone had people raising eyebrows, but once they heard DMX's verse, full of that gritty growl and hard-hitting bars, the industry went wild. Fans were convinced the track was a messy musical shot fired straight at Kurupt. That collaboration between Foxy and DMX didn't just spark rumors, it ignited the entire hip-hop world. Everyone was gossiping, dissecting lyrics, and speculating about what really went down between them, but what made it even worse was what came next. Kurupt claimed that the entire idea for Dog and a Fox was originally supposed to be his song with Foxy. If that's true, that's not just drama, that's betrayal on full display, like twisting the knife right in front of him. At that point, things between Kurupt and DMX hit boiling point. Kurupt was furious, and instead of letting the streets or the media do the talking, he decided to speak for himself through his music. Deep in the studio, working on his second album, Tha Streets Is a Mutha, Kurupt was ready to turn all that pain, anger, and rumor-fueled chaos into lyrical fire, and everyone knew something big was about to drop. Kurupt decided he wasn't waiting around for anyone else to tell his story. He'd handle it himself. He dropped a track called Calling Out Names, and it was pure lyrical warfare. The song came swinging at multiple rappers, DMX, 50 Cent, and Ja Rule. But everybody knew who the real target was, DMX. From the moment the track leaked months before the album dropped, the reaction was instant chaos. Fans couldn't believe how direct and raw it was. Right from the opening bars, Kurupt didn't hold back. He called DMX out by name, tearing into him with cold, ruthless insults. He even threw shade by saying the only X he respected was either Exhibit or RBX. Then he doubled down, accusing DMX of trying to steal his girl, Foxy Brown, but then delivered an icy punchline saying DMX could keep her. That line hit hard, making it clear he was done with Foxy and ready to expose both of them. Kurupt didn't stop there. He went on to call out both DMX and Foxy for chasing fame and money, claiming they were getting rich off shady moves. The disrespect was on another level, and just when people thought he might cool off, Kurupt took it even further. He fired off a direct warning to DMX, saying that if X ever set foot on the West Coast, he'd get stripped and stomped out over a woman. That's how personal it got. He even bragged about having a new woman in his life, taking another slick jab at Foxy and basically calling her old news. Then, in the second verse, Kurupt turned his attention to the Rough Riders crew, but made one thing clear. The only person from their camp he actually respected was Eve. That line hit deep because it lined up perfectly with what Foxy Brown had said earlier, that Eve was the one who told Kurupt about her alleged situation with DMX. So when Kurupt shouted Eve out, it almost felt like he was confirming that Foxy's story wasn't just talk. But Kurupt still wasn't done. He took it all the way to the edge, firing off "Fuck Rough Riders, fuck the Firm, and fuck Belly." That was a bold move, no question. The Firm was the elite rap supergroup that Foxy was part of alongside Nas, AZ, and Nature, while Belly was the 1998 cult classic film starring both DMX and Nas. By calling them both out in one verse, Kurupt didn't just diss rappers, he took aim at an entire movement. That record wasn't just a song, it was a full declaration of war in the middle of hip-hop's most explosive era. Kurupt was basically setting fire to everyone even remotely connected to Foxy Brown or DMX. And to make things even wilder, Nas ended up catching a stray in the middle of it all. Kurupt dragged him into the mix because Nas had commented on the drama during an XXL interview, casually saying that Foxy probably should have been with someone from New York. That one sentence poured gasoline on a feud that was already burning out of control. From that moment on, there was no turning back. Kurupt made sure to go for the throat, and he did it with pure venom. Toward the end of calling out names, he straight up mocked DMX's iconic "Get at me dog" line, copying his rough, growling delivery, but twisting it into a taunt. It was savage, personal, and dripping with disrespect. In the original version of the track, Kurupt didn't even waste a single bar. He went at DMX right from the start, clowning his voice, his energy, and his whole persona. It was bold, unapologetic, and exactly the kind of raw energy that had people talking nonstop. But the drama didn't end with the lyrics, not even close. Just a few weeks after calling out names dropped, everything took a dark, deadly turn. On October 17th, 1999, around 11:40 p.m., Kurupt was at Echo Sound Studios in Los Angeles working on his album, Ta Streets Is a Muda, when gunfire suddenly erupted, shots blasted through the studio, and chaos broke loose. When the smoke cleared, tragedy had struck. Kurupt's bodyguard, Dwayne Dupree, had been fatally shot multiple times in the chest. Two other rappers, Willard Gibbons and Jevin Jones, were also hit, one in the leg, the other in the foot. The whole scene was pure mayhem. Blood, confusion, panic everywhere. Almost immediately, the industry went wild with rumors. Whispers spread fast that DMX might have had something to do with it. The timing felt too suspicious. The diss track was still fresh, and everyone was connecting dots that maybe weren't there. Fans and insiders started speculating that the beef had finally crossed the line from words to violence. But DMX's camp wasted no time shutting that down completely. A spokesperson quickly released a statement saying, "DMX is in Miami recording his album." They made it clear that X had nothing to do with what went down in LA. Still, the damage was done. The streets were talking, the press ran wild with headlines, and the tension between both camps hit its peak. The feud that started with music had now turned into something much darker, and the entire rap world was watching every move. It's unfortunate that this act of nature happened. DMX has no knowledge of this. I just got off the phone with him. That was the official statement from DMX's team right after the studio shooting. DMX himself came forward furious, shutting down every rumor that tied his name to the tragedy. He made it clear he had nothing to do with the violence, saying he was sick of the whack rumors flying around. But even with his public denial, not everyone was ready to let it go. DMX had such a wild, unpredictable rep that people couldn't help but wonder if there was more going on behind the scenes. The tension stayed high, and exactly a month later, on November 16th, 1999, Kurupt finally dropped his highly anticipated album, Tha Streets Is a Mutha. And of course, calling out names was right there on the track list, untouched, unedited, and still packed with venom. But Kurupt wasn't done throwing shade. On another track, Who Ride With Us, he decided to take things to a whole new level of trolling. At the end of the song, there's a wild skit where Kurupt pretends to flip through fake radio stations, and one of them plays a mock version of DMX. A fake voice starts growling into the mic, barking and throwing in exaggerated ad-libs, all clearly meant to clown X. It was petty, it was funny, but it was also dangerous because everybody knew DMX wasn't the kind of guy to just laugh that off. And sure enough, he didn't. DMX came back swinging. Just a month later, on December 21st, 1999, he dropped his third studio album, and then there was X, one of the biggest and boldest releases of his entire career. The album had major radio hits and club anthems, but hidden underneath all that hype was a clear message to anyone still doubting him, especially Kurupt. That message came in the form of the legendary track Party Up, Up in Here. Most people know it as a wild, high-energy anthem, but behind those catchy hooks was pure, calculated venom. Many fans and insiders believe it was a slick-coded diss aimed straight at Kurupt. From the very first line, "Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here, DMX set the tone. It wasn't just a fun party lyric, it was a warning wrapped inside a hit record. He was basically saying, keep pushing me and I will snap, for real. The track became one of the biggest songs of his career, blasting through radios, clubs, and charts everywhere. But for those paying attention, they knew it wasn't just music. It was DMX's final word in a war that had started over pride, love, and loyalty. DMX didn't just clap back, he obliterated the competition. On Party Up, Up in Here, he came out swinging with razor-sharp bars that sliced straight through his rivals. He called out cowards, warned fake crews to watch their step, and made it clear that anyone playing games could get dealt with fast. Fans couldn't ignore how one particular line about guns clicking and fights breaking out over something dumb felt way too close to the Echo Sound studio shooting. It was like DMX was flipping a tragedy into a lyrical power move, turning rumors into ammunition for one of the hardest records of his career.
Two questions. How are you dealing with the conflict with Kurupt?
All right, first of all, there is no conflict with Kurupt. You know, so I'm not dealing with anything.
Then came the second verse. And that's when things got personal. DMX started calling out rappers as characters who weren't even good actors, and everyone instantly thought of Kurupt. The shots were loud and clear. X was hinting that Kurupt's whole tough guy image was just a front, an act for the cameras, but DMX didn't stop there. He took it even further. He called someone whack and twisted, then dragged Kurupt's love life right into the mix by referring to Foxy Brown as a hoe. That single word hit the rap world like an explosion. Everyone knew exactly who he was talking about, and DMX didn't care who got offended. He even went on a fiery rant about how foolish it was for men to fight over women who didn't belong to them. Another clear jab at Kurupt and the whole Foxy Brown situation. The message was brutal but crystal clear. DMX was basically saying, you started all this over a woman who wasn't even yours. Savage doesn't even begin to describe it. By the time the third verse hit, DMX was in full beast mode. He growled out violent threats, saying he'd shut someone up permanently, then warned, keep running your mouth, you're gonna blow your lung out. That line alone had people's jaws on the floor. He even hinted about making someone disappear, which only reignited the whispers that he might have been connected to the Echo Studio incident. Fans went wild connecting every lyric, every growl, every bar back to the real-life drama. But what made Party Up such a fatal comeback wasn't just the words, it was the impact. The track wasn't just a diss, it was a global hit. It dominated the charts, tore up the clubs, and became one of DMX's biggest records ever. He managed to turn a brutal feud into a crossover anthem, a track that made people dance and debate at the same time. While Kurupt was still fuming, DMX was on top of the world, proving that sometimes the loudest revenge isn't just in the streets, it's on the radio. Party Up didn't just become a hit, it turned into a global takeover. The track blasted from every radio, club, car, and movie soundtrack imaginable. DMX had done the unthinkable. He turned a diss track into an anthem. For Kurupt, hearing those lyrics echo worldwide had to sting bad. It wasn't just a loss, it was pure humiliation. The ultimate defeat. DMX didn't even need to drop another diss record. He proved he could win a rap war by making history on the charts instead. Then came January 17th, 2000, the night of the American Music Awards at the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. DMX pulled up looking sharp, confident, and untouchable. But what really had everyone talking wasn't his performance. It was what happened backstage in the press room. Reporters couldn't resist bringing up the elephant in the room, the ongoing beef with Kurupt. When asked about it, DMX gave an answer that stunned everyone. Calm, cold, and totally unexpected, he said, "I'm not dealing with anything." Just like that. No drama, no threats, no energy wasted. That one line left reporters speechless. It shocked everyone because Party Up was still burning up the charts, and the lyrics had people convinced they were aimed right at Kurupt, yet there was DMX sitting cool in front of cameras, acting like the feud didn't even exist. It was either the ultimate power move, brushing off Kurupt like he didn't matter, or the calm before another storm. So what was really behind DMX's sudden chill attitude? Some believed he was simply dismissing Kurupt entirely, like the whole beef was beneath him now. Others thought it was a smart, calculated strategy to take the heat off all the wild rumors still linking his name to the Echo Sound studio shooting. Whatever the reason, it was classic DMX. Unpredictable, strategic, and always one step ahead of everyone trying to read him. Meanwhile, Kurupt kept things surprisingly quiet, even with Party Up dominating the airwaves, shaking the clubs, and blasting out of every car stereo around the world. He didn't respond with another diss. No angry verses, no subliminal shots, just silence. Instead, Kurupt took a whole different route, a mature one. On July 17th, 2001, he dropped his next album, Space Boogie, Smoke Odyssey, and tucked inside that project was a track called Just Don't Give a Fuck. It wasn't a direct diss, but the tone said it all. He was done with the drama, done with the back and forth, and ready to move on to something bigger. After years of tension, threats, and lyrical warfare, both rappers seemed to finally be shifting gears. But the scars from that feud, they were carved deep into hip-hop history forever. Kurupt finally addressed the lingering feud in his track, Just Don't Give a Fuck. In that song, he made it crystal clear. He was done with the beef and ready to move forward. It felt like he'd finally decided to put the pride aside and focus on what really mattered, the music. For a moment, it seemed like the chaos had finally cooled down. But as we all know, peace in hip-hop never lasts forever. Fast forward a few years, August 23rd, 2005, Kurupt dropped another project called Against the Grain. And just when people thought the tension was ancient history, one track called Speak On It started stirring things up again, but this time in a more subtle, almost nostalgic way. In that song, Kurupt reflected on all the industry talk comparing rappers like 50 Cent, Ja Rule, and DMX to Tupac. He shut that idea down instantly, saying straight up, there would never be another Pac, period. Then, in one bold bar, he mentioned DMX by name, making it clear he didn't see him as the new Tupac either. It wasn't a full-on diss, but it was definitely a reminder. Their history was still written in the back of his mind. After that, though, the smoke started to fade. The feud that once had both coasts watching slowly disappeared into hip-hop history. The two legends went their separate ways, both scarred, both seasoned, but both still standing tall. Then, life did what it always does. It came full circle. In 2017, nearly 2 decades after the madness first began, something nobody expected happened. Kurupt and DMX randomly crossed paths at an airport, and instead of hostility, there was peace. According to Kurupt, the encounter was chill. No drama, no tension, no bad blood. The two chopped it up, shared some laughs, and finally buried the hatchet for good. It was the ending nobody saw coming. Two rap icons who once went to lyrical war, now shaking hands like brothers. After years of rumors, disses, and tragedy, it all came down to one simple moment of respect, a rare, genuine peace between two legends who helped shape hip-hop's wildest era. So what do you think about how this whole feud played out? Was it pure strategy, or just two alpha MCs testing their limits in the heat of competition? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know what side you're on. And before you dip out, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, share this video, and drop a comment if you want more insane rap stories, wild industry beefs, and untold hip-hop legends. Trust me, the next one's gonna be even crazier. See you in the next one.